Hey everyone, today we're talking about carb synchronization. I'm going to show you what it is, why it's so important, and how you can do it yourself to get your bike running as smooth as possible. We'll be synchronizing a Honda CBX1000 because they have arguably some of the most complex carbs of any motorcycle. Once you learn how to sync these, you'll be able to sync anything. So I just finished rebuilding this carb set, and that included pulling the whole rack apart to replace all of the crossover tube O-rings. I find syncing carbs is usually only necessary after I break a rack down like this for a thorough rebuild, or if someone has misadjusted the synchronization screws. With that being said, I think that most bikes could benefit from doing this procedure, especially if you're struggling to get your bike idling smoothly. All synchronizing means is that you are adjusting each carb to open at the exact same time. There are two types of carb designs, and each are synchronized differently. First, there's the mechanical slide carbs that were standard all the way up until the late 1970s. On these carbs, the throttle cable directly moves the slide up and down, so these are synced by aligning the slides via the top cap adjuster on each carb. This design has survived in the aftermarket world even today for the precise level of adjustability on high-performance machines. But by the 1980s, stricter EPA regulations motivated the innovation of a new carb called the constant velocity or CV carb. To oversimplify how these work for the purpose of synchronization, the throttle cable opens these butterfly valves, which allows the air-fuel mixture into the engine. So to synchronize CV carbs, you just have to get all of these valves to open and close at the exact same time. Additionally, all CV carbs have a big spring and diaphragm attached to the top of each slide, usually made of rubber like this, but the CBX that we're working on here uses an early version of CV tech that has solid aluminum slides. This is an exaggerated example of what misaligned butterfly valves look like. If you tried to run it this far out, the engine would not be able to idle on this cylinder, which would lead to fouling plugs, uneven engine strain, and other issues. We'll dial these in on the bike soon, but first we need to bench sync them to get them close enough for the bike to at least start and run. I like to do this by bumping up the idle just enough for a small wire to fit through the gap at the top or bottom of the butterfly valve. You want to start with the carb that the throttle cable goes to. That's the master carb, and the rest will get synced to it. On some racks like this one, the cable goes equally between the carbs, so I can tell which is the master because it is the only one without a dedicated adjuster screw. Effectively, the idle screw is the master carbs adjuster. Once you've adjusted the idle so that the wire fits snugly through the gap, you can work your way out towards the end carbs. If the wire is too tight or loose of a fit under one of the valves, you can adjust it by loosening the lock nut, and with a flathead screwdriver, adjust the screw until the tension on the wire feels the same as the master carb. This is just to get the bike running so it doesn't have to be perfect. Once they're all close enough, it's time to get your synchronization tool out. Let's talk a little bit about synchronizing tools. There's several styles available, and I've always used this dial gauge set that I bought about 13 years ago. It has synchronized hundreds of motorcycles over the years, and it works okay, but it's pretty tedious to use. So I was interested when I started seeing ads for this new Digi Sync tool on the market, and I was really excited when they reached out and asked if I'd like to try it. This is my first time opening the box, and I'll give my final review at the end of this video. Right off the bat though, I'm impressed with the size. This is their biggest 6-channel model that I needed for tuning the CBX, and it's notably smaller than my 4-gauge tool. It looks like it comes with all the adapters I would expect, a piece of tube to help installing the adapters, and some replacement vacuum caps that are a nice touch. The unit itself is surprisingly compact and light, and it looks like it's already got a battery in it, so it's ready to go. Let's get these adapters installed while the carbs are still off the bike. With all the adapters in place, I'll get the carbs mounted and we can test this thing out. It's a really simple machine. One button turns it on or off, and holding it changes the units that it reads in. It lets you know when it's ready for you to turn the engine on, and then it's just a matter of adjusting each carb until all of the numbers are within one or two of each other. Be sure to start with the carb on either side of the master carb and work your way out to the end. The order is important because the adjusters affect all of the carbs downstream of them. It's also good to blip the throttle after each adjustment to settle the adjusters and the butterfly valves. When you're happy with it, tighten the lock nuts and recheck it again to make sure that they didn't move. So there's one issue with this tool that I haven't seen mentioned anywhere else that had me thinking I had it broken for a minute. At one point, I rested it against the coils to get a better view while adjusting the left bank of carbs, and when I turned the engine on, this happened. It took me a few minutes of disappointment before remembering the warning label on the back about the magnetic field and pacemakers. So basically, the high voltage coils were scrambling its little computer brains when I had it rested against them. So I moved it away from the coils, and sure enough, it worked perfectly again. All in all, I'm really happy with this tool. It's easily worth the price tag for any moto shop, but even if you were just going to use it once in a while, compared to the cost of paying a shop to do it, I still think it would pay for itself for anyone. Because I really liked using this, I did get an affiliate link, which I'll leave in the description in case you guys want to order one of these. I'll also be in the comments if you have any questions, and I hope this helps, and ride safe.